Okay, Taurus. This week, we're not going over that same bullshit. We're not going to do it. We're just going to tap in and see what we're getting. For those, I don't know who's watching my channel, and I don't know who I'm speaking to. When those messages get so, like, off key, there is so much disharmony. And yeah, it could be the reader. I just really want you to know my intention is not to let personal experiences, they teach lessons, but they're not a deciding factor on if a person who is a Taurus or who has Taurus energy is just full of shit. That's not what this is for at all. Like, if you're not going to be able to learn from it, because first and foremost, to even get a fixed sign to see anything about themselves is difficult, because they're in their mind, they're fixated on what they're doing. And to them, it is right. And that's the only way it's going to go. That is a fixed mind. That's a fixed mentality, a fixed energy of operating. It works in some applications, and that's when people learn the hard lessons, that they have to be more adaptable, or they have to be a beginner and initiate something. They really do have a lot to learn from the mutable and cardinal signs. So it's no different between Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Everybody has their seasons and their times of intense challenge and learning, and for thriving and propelling forward. Also, it could have a lot to do with Uranus being in Taurus and the unpredictable nature of what it may bring you. The changes that are so erratic that you may not be able to wholeheartedly adapt to, or would not as easily adapt to as someone else who is a mutable or a cardinal sign. So change is difficult, and we get it, but I want to see what your energy card is. We have spiritual career, 78. This does give me heart chakra vibes, but crown chakra as well. But more so than that, like the soul source chakra that is higher above the crown. And then we have spiritual partnership, which is a 27. I'm going to move this back some. Can I do it like that? Move my bag out of the way. Okay. And it does put emphasis too on this sacral chakra. It seems like that's all you want. Something you can believe in, something you can feel but also believe in. So it indulges the senses, but at the same time it aligns with the spiritual outlook that you're having as well. You want something that provides that safety, that sense of protection, especially when it comes to the heart itself. You want to be able to be confident, have that confidence that what you're loving and what you're doing, or who you're loving and who you're doing it with, is still gonna support your alignment and not take you from who you feel you are, or not try to change what you see for yourself. And that's fine, but you have to understand what you're expecting to find in a spiritual partnership is also going to be expected of you. So if you're the fixed energy in any given circumstance, and other people are seemingly having to bend around your fixations, that is not compromise. That's not partnership. That's what's the word that's coming to mind? It's like a takeover. It's like grouping, you know, like when companies get bought out by other companies, their whole policies change. Their initial values are a lot of times not honored because they've had to downsize to fit someone else's fixation on whatever result. You got to be mindful. I see the spiritual nature here. But say the spiritual career is what you're attracting, or someone in a spiritual career is what you're attracting, or this type of environment is what you're attracted to, because you have that imprint, that spiritual resonance with it. But this pink, whether it's that higher chakra above the crown, or it's the heart relation here, doing things with the heart, they're delivering their spirituality with a softness, a purity, an intent to bring this type of energy forward in a spiritual career. The energy you're coming with is sacral based. It's not matching. It's not matching the situation. So you may feel a sense of spiritual partnership with someone who is in alignment with spiritual career, whether they're nursing, in the medical field, therapists, counselors, social workers. It could even be people who work in capacities where other people need them, and just in a life of service. That's typically, this type of color comes in as a remedy to soften what may be ailing someone, or just service, customer service that they're bringing to someone may inject some type of medicine without it being a physical medicinal thing. It could be an energetic. So this doesn't completely match. You have to understand that a person is seeking partnership with a 2, and their sacral chakra has to be engaged, where this person is getting alignment through other. They're being of service. They're putting it out there. It's a spiritual career for them. It's not just spirituality. It's like, this is what they're made to do. Or you're encountering a spiritual career where you may have a sacral chakra focus. Like, making money may get you off. Your finances may be that thing that drives your sacral chakra to produce, to go to, because it's coming from a different place. They're administering from a different place. So this could be you, true enough, but there still has to be a shift, because if spiritual partnership is you, what you're desiring, or where you're at, and you're trying to get to the spiritual career aspect, that sacral energy still has to go through a purifying process. It has to ascend all the way to the top. That kundalini energy, it can't get stuck and stagnant in the sacral and be driving your partnerships. Okay, for some reason this purple is coming up, like, this, better. All of this up in here, when it comes to the mind, you may base your decisions based off of the sacral chakra response, and that's not always the safest thing to do. So this is telling you that in your career, in your partnerships, the spiritual aspect of it has to come into more of an alignment, and more in more of a balance. It has to really, it can't be that fixation. It can be an affinity towards, that's different. But when it's fixation, now we're edging on the, like, guttural aspect of the desire. It's self-serving, or its intention is not really towards other and service and the spiritual aspect of that, because being in a lower, denser energy is also spiritual. It's also a part of it. But you have to understand that when you're in that density, You're not attracting things of light. You're not attracting things of a vibration that it is joyful, carefree. It has a different weight to it, and you're being asked to lighten the load, because there is more of a lightness to this energy. Focus on the spiritual, with the purple being in the center and the aura of this pink around it than this. There's more of a density surrounding the sacral chakra. It's like if it doesn't come back to the sacral chakra, then the spiritual nature of it really doesn't make sense to you. And it has a lot to do with you being opposite Scorpio, where a sexual energy that you attach to something, or something that brings those types of desires, even if it is your pleasures, like good food, good clothing. Those are things that may satisfy the sacral chakra, and some of the work that you're doing and the partnerships that you're encountering satisfy that sacral chakra. And that's how you're relating to spirituality. So even if you're going into spirituality and really starting to dive into it now, it's almost like, so where's my satisfaction? Where is my pleasure? That's what you're accustomed to. Your fixation is on the pleasure, when a lot of this journey is not about it. You have to have both. You will never be rid of upsets or changes. It's an ever moving adventure. And I don't know how many times I shuffle these cards, and still you've got triple fives. It's going to need change. Like this, going into this leg of the journey is going to really transition you. Wherever you're trying to go in your career, it's like your partnership with the current circumstances financially you may be in, it's still here. But the career that you're going to actually settle in will feel more free flowing. The coloration still, this is not as pleasant of a feeling. It's like almost like your being there has a higher purpose, but your pleasures are stifled. So you're not even finding it so fully fulfilling. And that could be whatever, job or situation that you're in, but your career has more of a freedom to it, and you can operate in this higher mind, higher knowing, and feel comfortable doing so, feeling ease of doing so. Show me for Taurus. I'm going to set this down. I'm going to read it in a second. Okay, so we have innocence, the perfection of action through uncontrived and spontaneous nature. To love everything equally, triumph and survival enrich the spirit and result in the wonder of being, the spirit of the self, the spiritual warrior. This card also says ignorance, recuperation, survival, sensibility, the existentialist, selflessness. I do like that coloration. It does line up with what we've got here. Put that there. And then we have inner truth, the awareness of universal underlying principles, the pressure to know the absolute truth, the mysteries of life, and to resolve the individual tension to know. Mystery, the potential of inner truth is silence. Appeal, influence, research, interdependence, natural brilliance, occult knowledge. This goes along with that spiritual career. But let me tell you something. Because you have a fixation, you need something solid. Especially being an earth sign. You need something solid to results. You need it in order to really see something substantial, or to consider it substantial. And a lot of this occult stuff, a knowledge, you can research certain stuff and you won't get all the answers. There's This is faith. This is, I need to feel it. I need to see it. I need the pleasure of putting my senses on this thing in order to make sense of this thing that I cannot wholeheartedly explain. So it's, again, it needs to, it has to go through the stages where having to, getting the pleasure of knowing like concretely about a lot of stuff, occult knowledge. Some of this stuff is not going to be concrete because it was hidden for so long. A lot of the proof, if you're not getting from your guides or someone who is well educated and well rounded in occult knowledge, if you cannot have the faith and the trustworthiness to allow these messages in, you're not going to feel that satisfaction with what you're learning. So there's going to be conflict with your pleasure center and what you're absorbing through the crown. You're not going to, the synchronicities may fall on you, and you may see them but not really trust them because you can't prove, you can't follow a script, you can't find something fixed that was, set in stone in order to say this is what this means. You are on the right track. So all these subtle nuances that are happening in this state of ease get bypassed. They get ignored or overlooked because they're not rolled out on a papyrus, or they're not given to you on a platter. It's something that you're really going to have to develop your trust for. So I'm going to pull 2 stones, chakra stones, and see what the emphasis may be on. Solar plexus here. Got the yellow jade. And with the smooth, tumbled, engraved chakra stone, we have the heart chakra, the aventurine. So these are the only chakras that I didn't see highlighted here, actually. And like I said, that sacral energy has to keep going. It has to, once you feel the pleasure of something, or even without the physical sensation of proof, you have to use your will and actually have the courage to embrace it. It has to come up through the heart space. And you have to, when it comes to the ear, nose, and throat, this is all Taurus. And it's something about it coming up the pipeline. Like you can't admit it because it's not something that you can tangibly prove. So this can be a blockage when it comes to having a spiritual career because of the fixation with something sensible. The occult and celestial knowledge and things like this esoteric shit is not always sensible. Like you're not gonna always agree with every message you're getting. You're not always going to be able to find it on Google. You're not always going to be able to, like, you really have to know yourself, and you really have to trust that what you're receiving, as crazy as it may seem, like, your reality is stranger than fiction. Like, the shit that's actually going on that you can touch, taste, and see and feel and hear is some garbage. So why not open your receptivity to receive something that is actually going to benefit you and bring a sense of spirituality to the career that you actually go into? No matter what you do, no matter what arena it's in or what industry, you really have the you're being called to allow the unpredictable to start playing out around you and not be so fixated on what you're used to or what you're most comfortable with. If you're not opening, it's not going to expand your spirituality in a way that you feel it should be expanding. Like, you're still behind the learning curve for that reason. Oh, you ain't like that. Oh, you didn't like that. That's okay. That's okay. You're not always gonna like it. And you can try to shoot the messenger if you want to, but just saying, if it ain't in you, it ain't in you. It's something to develop. It's like a muscle. It's not just gonna come free flowing like finances may. And finances they can come in fluently. But the spiritual nature of that current, are you really enjoying it? There's, like I said, there's a sense of ease with this one, and there's more of a sense of being stifled with this energy. So it makes the difference between having a job and a career. If you're just filling a job position and being filled by what your career is, it's a big difference. Even if you enjoy it, it's the pleasure of it, the luxury of it, it will get old if your spirit is actually seeking a higher sense of spiritual purpose. It's gonna redirect you sooner or later, and it should be a personal decision. When you're forced into it, you're not gonna like it. You're not gonna be receptive to change like that. So it would be in your best interest to implement your own changes to get you more receptive, more willing. The solar plexus is about the will. It's about the flight, fright, fawn, fight response. And if you're fighting change and resisting it, the blockage is going to build right up in here. It could cause a lot of gastrointestinal issues, acid reflux. You may be having reactions to certain food. Your back could be bothering you in that location because you have chakra openings in the front and you also have them in the back. Because energy comes in, it has to have some place to release. There's not just one, it's a through and through. And if you're oscillating, if it's spinning in a particular direction at a particular speed, in a particular size, it could be small. And if you have a lot of sacral energy and your solar plexus is small, when it tries to come through, there's not enough opening. When it comes to being willful, you can be willful and be prideful. So the use of will, and the King of Wands is sitting directly under that. So I get it. But it has to be, you have to be in alignment. You can have all your chakras open, but this one can be small as fuck. This one can be even smaller. And then this one's smaller, just over open. So then you have all this sacral energy. And the only thing that ends up coming out of your mouth is something about pleasure or benefit, or, it has nothing to do with the spiritual ascension that it has a lot to do with the spiritual ascension you're going through, but not necessarily to your ascending. It's like topical, it's sensory, it's visceral. It's not really intrinsic work that's being done here. So your challenge is to think less about the pleasure principles that you assign to each and everything that you do. It is asking you to, instead of using the sacral energy to feel everything and feel the whole world around you, to start using your heart, because it's as strong as it is, not much has gotten to it from the root up. So they're asking you to expand these two and use less of your sacral energy, driving your spiritual partnership, driving your partnerships, whether in career, personal life, family, friends, kids, whatever. It's asking you, think less about that, because you thought so much about it. It's your second house, your shit, your personal possessions. You've got your hands in everybody's pot. You're connected to people, and it benefits you to be connected to them. But for once, what is benefiting them being connected to you? And this is what reverses the obstruction and the overfilling here. And this could have an effect on your weight if your midsection down here by the hip area, by the lower stomach, you just can't seem to lose that pudge, or you just can't seem to get that together. It could have a lot to do with it. Or again, issues with shit that you're eating, stomach, ulcers, anything. Like there could really be a hang up about this spiritual partnership or the spiritual reason for certain partnerships that you've been in. Even the ones that didn't work out, even the ones that seemed like they were just the worst. Like you're missing it because you're only seeing it from the pleasure and how it didn't pleasure you. This experience didn't bring you satisfaction, but it's coming from a sacral place, not from the heart space where you actually integrate and understand the lessons in a higher octave of feeling, which would be love itself. This is a purification center, and the stuff that's in your sacral has not come up to be purified in order to reach that space. Queen of Cups directly under the heart chakra stone. I'm going to pull one more. There we go. Justice. Right. Card at the bottom of the deck is the Ace of Cups. It's quite purely what I was just speaking on, but I'm going to show you Judgment, Knight of Pentacles, King of Wands, Queen of Cups, and Justice. All this shit was necessary. Let me go ahead and look at this. Look at this. This is touching base on almost all of those chakra colors, except for the crown and that higher soul source chakra. We have the red, orange, yellow, green, blue. The same chakras I was talking about. I didn't even mention the third eye, even though this purple here, this spiritual partnership, would allude to the third eye. I'm getting crowned with that. I'm not getting third eye. Third eye in this particular, the numerology oracle is the blue. But when I reference this blue color, I'm talking about the throat chakra. You're going to have a lot of things going on at once. It says, work on what has been spoiled. Correction, essential learning. The vigilance and determination to uphold and defend basic and fundamental human rights. Dissatisfaction fuels the lifelong process of correcting and improving. Taking satisfaction, understanding, okay, this did not satisfy my sacral needs, but you have to understand what it was necessary for, because you keep encountering certain things that are in alignment with that dissatisfaction. Once you're handling that primal need to be satisfied and you have brought it up to be purified, you can speak on it in a different way. It starts to amend the vibration of that thing that keeps dissatisfying you. Every time you bump into it, it is a clash because something has to change. You're the last thing that wants to change, though you don't like certain circumstances. The changes that you're implementing are going to take a lot of strength and willpower. This is subtle. We have Judgment. It is time. It has been time, but this is your way of handling it. When you're ready, in your own way, you have to get the proof. You have to have the logic, have the research, especially when it comes to these spiritual matters, because it feels like it's the spiritual understanding that you're trying to come into in order to amend the things that are in your physical environment. I mean, who isn't? That is on a spiritual path. It has to benefit your practical life. And you being earth sign, you being Taurus, you being fixed should know that more than anybody. And have a willingness to want to do it. And you're met with this Queen of Wands energy. And it's asking you to take the action. You've done enough of this. Now it's time to actually have the gall, have the balls to do it. To implement the change. To let the change come in. And you have the Queen of Cups right behind it. It's like these two chakras are coming up almost like people right now. They're asking you to do what's necessary. This is masculine energy. It's an action that you're having to take and receive. Be receptive to what comes up from that sacral space, whatever trauma, whatever hurt, whatever it was. It will always be a blockage when it comes to your money. If that doesn't make you want to move, then I don't know what will. because your possessions and the things that you value mean so much to you. You have to value your growth just as much. So whatever you've been hoarding in this sacral space for it to be so large and bloated with information that is no longer resonating with you, no longer relevant, it still affects your every waking moment and your career and your partnerships and your money. This is asking you because it's trying to amend what the fuck has been going on. It's trying to bring you in exactly what you want. Something that will actually be fulfilling, not just a filler. It's asking you your inner truth now. This is where that throat chakra comes in. It says mystery. The potential of inner truth is silence. And maybe, just maybe, that is something that is so fucking difficult. Maybe it's just so fucking difficult. But what I see is peace. This is the integration. I shit you not. Wow, you don't have to, in order to heal the sacral chakra, I'm not asking you to lose your desires or don't desire what you want. That's not what I'm saying. You have to bring it up to be purified. So now this sacral chakra is attracting different types of experiences and different types of finances. Because sometimes the current of money or the contracts that have money tied to them also have other things tied to them. And they bring you things that you don't want. And they put you in a state of being stifled versus you actually having a purified sacral chakra and releasing, because it's not going to happen once. You're going to have to do this many times, but it's like you have yet to actually do it for the first time. So once you get through that narrow canal and start to open up these channels, you're going to be speaking more fluently spirit. It's going to attract exactly what you need to propel to the next level. And it combines the energy of the sacral, the solar plexus as well. And it brings you to where you're supposed to be. But you have to transcend it first. It's just like you have to transcend it first. Like you do. It says, it's gate 11, peace. Ideas are stimulation for reflection. That's where that sacral stuff goes into the solar plexus, because the solar plexus is that yellow. The solar plexus is a mental chakra. It's like your second gut. I mean, not your second gut, your second brain. It is referenced that way in a lot of teachings. And I say that because it is. You get gut instinct. You feel it here. Whenever you walk into a room and you're just hit, your stomach is in knots, there is something array. And you know this. This is something that you can trust. It's asking you to use that same instinct that you have about your pleasures and your money and this and that. Start using it towards your spiritual advancement. Start using it towards amending those hurts and those issues that are trapped in your sacral chakra. Like, you have to bring them up. And if you don't bring them up, something else will. And it's going to force you. You're not going to like it. So I'm asking you, I'm really pleading with you to take it easy on yourself. Take it easy. You're being given an in. You're being given a green light because it is time to transmute. You may not be comfortable with it, but what I'm saying is your opposite, the fixed sign that is all about transmutation, you need to take a lesson from what they're having to do to transform themselves. They're taking a lesson out of your book and finding personal value in themselves versus, seeing the value of other things or being able to take care of other people's shit. Being a keeping other people's things safe and shit like that. Storing it, it's time for restoration. It says adaptability, philanthropist, the teacher, the realist, rigor, attunement. I love how these cards interact with each other. Work on what has been spoiled. So it's like you have ingested something, an experience, an emotion, a circumstance, and it's just festering. It's in your colon. It's in your fucking lower digestive tract. It's in your stomach. It affects the way you feel physically, like not just emotionally, because you don't feel with your heart. You've been feeling with your sacral chakra. So it's aesthetically pleasing to be in this hustle and bustle that you have been, but it's not full fucking filling. This blockage will keep the spiritual career at bay, because you're in a position to teach. You're literally the Hierophant, which is a teacher, which is somebody that other people look up to. If you can't do it, you can't teach them how to get there. This stops your own progress. So if you, I don't know, you have other people counting on you, whether you like it or not. This is just the way that for the Taurus group that I'm speaking to, this is the alignment that you're in. It's asking you for correction. So something has been going on a track, but the wheel has been, it's been rocky, it's been bumpy, there's been issues. The terrain was not clear, and therefore they felt it not safe to actually take any action, to actually put anything down, to actually just like put in the work to do it. Not to say they don't work. They're not working as they're not as productive with it as they could be. Knight of Pentacles is productive, but that's like people doing a lot of work, spinning their wheels and not really getting anything done. It looks like you're doing a lot, but you haven't really done much. That's the energy I'm getting here, and it's you're being asked to just let go of the control, let it happen. Because after you encounter this King of Wands energy and you start to take in the action, there will be a time for respite. There will be a time for rest. There will be a time for you to actually reflect on what the fuck just happened. Like, you will feel less weighed down by all of it. And when I talk about stuff, this is what I mean. The stuff that you're carrying ain't even physical. It could be weight. It could be just what all that energy pent up in the sacral chakra is. And you can try to treat it with sex or food or whatever, but that shit it's like eating fast food, and when it's done, and you're like, damn. Like, there was really no memory of the pleasure, the true pleasure of sustenance. It's just substance. We go over this all the time. So I'm going to leave it right there, because you're the only thing stopping your justice. You're the only thing moving slower than snails, because you're going to actually have to work for something that is going to be a little unpleasant. And that's not what you're used to. You're not used to working for the result of something being unpleasant, even if the yield is going to be quite beneficial. It's that roughness in the middle that is kind of preventing you from bursting through to where you're really supposed to be. And you got it waiting for you. It's not out of reach. It's just behind the justice. It's just after you actually do something, not just because the money's in front of it. The reward is behind it now. So And it will attract finances, but that's the thing. If you don't have something pleasurable motivating you in the beginning, it's so hard for you to actually do it. The pleasure gets started and you sustain it. You're a fixed sign. You sustain the middle of the seasons, the middle of a project or whatever. You kind of glue that stuff so it's stable. But at the beginning of it, you're not really the initiator and you're not the one that puts on the final touches. That's the mutable sign that really delivers a polished product after it has been sustained in a fixed fashion. So you just have to know that you're gonna have to rely on others. You're gonna have to take a lesson from others, and that may be the hardest thing for you to do because they may be explaining it, and it may sound like they're speaking Japanese, and you just aren't, because you just can't see it, or you're not the one, like, you're not comfortable being in a position to learn if you're in a always, or you find yourself being the one that's a position to be, wait a minute, the work that has been spoiled. I didn't read the word associations. Buddhahood. I'm getting Buddha belly with that. So a lot of bloating and filler in this area. Therapy, the incompetent, the zealot, terminal disease, and conservatism. Damn. You're going to have to let up. This isn't going to hurt anybody but you. So this doesn't benefit me to tell you this. Like, I could have kept the message to myself. And I'm really trying to let you know what I'm seeing, what I'm sensing, what the blockage is. Through the chakras, through the tarot, through the I Ching, through the numerology. I'm really trying everything I can to try to figure out why there's so much resistance when I read for this sign. Why would you even watch somebody that you can't learn from? Like, it has to be a reason. And it may be a desire a higher mind desire, a spiritual desire, but it doesn't please you. It, to a certain extent, it doesn't satisfy the need you were coming to get met. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, if I'm in a position to teach and you're a student at this point, even if you're more intelligent or make more money or have degrees or whatever, there is something that is available to you that you have not yet earned yourself, and you're having to learn it and actually follow the flow. And it's going to be uncomfortable because you can't control this. Your fixation for having your hands in it and being, it's going to be your work though. It's going to be your work. And once you get to the end, you'll understand the value of your renewed sense of what you hold valuable. It's a perception and a spiritual and an energetic change that's taking place in your whole fucking body. You will maybe, I see you dropping pounds after this. Like, if weight has been an issue, you go through this blockage, everything will start to flow funny. Will start to flow differently. This is flow. Those pipes are going to get cleaned out. Like, colon and all. Like, listen, after I do a Reiki healing on myself, I immediately have to go and release, because it is unblocking energy that is stagnant. So this is no different. But the thing is, it may overwhelm you once it gets to the heart space, because all your heart has always wanted is to feel that same sense of attention that you've been given the sacral chakra. With all your trials, with all your tribulations, you filter life through the sacral chakra and through the throat. So you eat it here, you feel pleasure there, and the heart is being bypassed. I hope nobody has a heart condition and needs some kind of bypass surgery or anything like this, because I do see terminal illness coming up in these cards. Survival, recuperation. It's very imperative that If you're in a position to start, you start now. I am not a doctor. I cannot diagnose you. But what I'm saying is the energetic blockage will manifest in the physical. And by then, it will be so much more difficult to actually get through. Like, there has to be an actual action, not just the planning, not just the preparation. Like, you actually have to go through with moving this energy, or having the courage to move this energy in the way that it needs to be moved, or it's going to remove something from you. And it could be opportunity, it could be partnership, it could be your career, some place that you really need to be. So yeah, that's it. I will talk to y'all later.